Hello everyone, and thank you so much for stopping by for another course, free course on career management free course. This time we're talking about underperformers. As managers or leaders, we have come across underperformance, and you have probably come across a lot of them. You may have some issues at the moment with them, and we're going to talk about how to turn an underperformer around in 2 simple steps. And I mean simple. They're not very difficult to understand. Okay, so you just have to listen, take hopefully some pen and paper, and let's rock and roll. So if you are live, please say hi on comment. By the way, if you want to watch this show live, it's every single Sunday on Facebook. Every Sunday on Facebook group, and it's a group called Name Your Career. Okay, so let's begin with how to turn around an underperformer in 2 simple steps. Okay, ready? So underperformers, basically what I call underperformance is really one of the 10 categories. Either it's a poor quality, poor service. Now, what's the difference between poor quality and poor service? Quality will be, for example, you're in a restaurant, the chef, the cooking of the chef will be the quality of what you do, okay, how you do it. The service is really how it's delivered, how the quality product is delivered. Okay, so it could be a poor quality, poor service, poor productivity, people that work really hard but are not able to achieve their results. Okay, or sometimes absenteeism, or people that arrive late all the time. Poor communication. Okay, poor communication with the client, with other members in the team. All this is obviously underperformance. Customer complaints. Sometimes people complain about some of your employees, some of your team members. Abuse of company policy, of course. There are rules in the company. In every company there are rules, and if they are not abide by, and then there's a problem there. Lying or stealing, that's also something that's quite common in the workplace, unfortunately. Or sometimes someone that just refuses to work in teams, okay? That's just happy by himself, doesn't want to cooperate at all, doesn't want to coordinate with others, doesn't want to share, doesn't want to do anything with others, okay? Or sometimes even harassment, people that just harassment, any type of harassment, by the way. So let's begin. First thing first, the first step that we're going to discuss is actually a step that managers don't do. It's a step that leaders do. And this is called prevention. Now, in order to, the best way actually to make sure you tackle underperformance is to prevent it. How do you prevent it? Well, it's super easy actually. It really is easy. And I'm going to go through this step with examples, so pay attention. But essentially, please keep in mind that prevention is what leaders do. Managers, they just try and extinguish a fire. Oh, we have an underperformer. Oh, I have to tackle him. I have to speak to him. I have to do a one-on-one. I have to, put him on performance review or whatever. So leaders, what they do is that they create an environment. They prevent underperformance as much as possible. How do they do that? And that's your first step, by the way. The first step is to, for example, the first step is to establish a culture that's anti-underperformance. Now, let me explain. You see, if you ask your team members right now, what does it mean to do your job? You will have all sorts of definition. Oh, doing my job means that I should do what's on my job description. Doing my job means that I should do my best, doing my job it varies, okay? And this is a problem because it means that everyone looks at doing his job from his own point of view. You don't want that. You want to rationalize this into one definition, one common ground, one point of reference. And this is really important. What doing your job means, it means achieving your KPIs, it means achieving expectations, it means, hitting, obviously, your objectives. And that's very, very important. As long as this is not clear, you're going to have a problem. You're going to be dealing with a lot of underperformers because this is not the norm. If this is not the norm, if this is still debatable, then you're going to have issues. So you see, what leaders do is that they create stories. They say this once every week. They remind people in different ways that doing your job means, hitting expectations, or achieving your KPIs. Okay. Remember these old American movies where you see a police officer is going to save someone's life, and the other person is going to say, "Oh, thank you so much, officer," and the officer is going to say, "Well, just doing my job." You see, doing your job is actually achieving a result. If you're not achieving the results, the expected results, then you're not doing your job. This is the common definition. And of course it's debatable, but we don't care. We just want to establish a definition, a common ground, and this is going to be the benchmark against which everything is going to be benchmarked. Obviously, everything is going to be, well, based on this definition, am I doing my job or not? Okay, so that's what you want to do. That's one example of creating a culture that's underperformers. Okay, the second thing is to understand what teamwork means. You see, a lot of people think that teamwork means working in teams, like i.e. being nice with your team, sharing with the team, and laughing with the team, and being a team, and being friends. And that's not teamwork. Teamwork means that if everyone has to work and one person doesn't do his best, he only does 50% of what he can do, it means that the 50% that he's not doing is shared among the other team members. Means that other people are going to work harder, means that the organization is going to move slower towards its goal, or it's not going to hit its goal. There's an impact, consequence. Being in a team means interconnection, interrelativity. Okay, being completely interdependent is the word I'm looking for. Being interdependent. Okay, so this is very important. Once this truth is established, teamwork becomes another benchmark. Because you see, in order for me to see if I'm part of a team or not, if I'm helping the team, if I'm, a positive element in the team, now I can know, because there's a common definition of what teamwork means. Teamwork means that everyone is going to do his job the best he can, as much as he can, because otherwise, if he or she fails, then the rest of the team is going to be impacted, and the rest of the department, the objective is going to, everything is depending on one another. Everyone is depending on one another, and everything matters. Okay, that's being in a team. That's being in a team. Okay. So if one person does not pull his weight, or he's slowing down the team, it's unfair for everyone else. And it's very important to show that it's unfair, unjust. That's the culture. If you're not doing your best, it's unfair to the others that are doing their best. Okay, very, very important. You see how, as a leader, I'm trying to really establish a culture, a common ground, definition, benchmark, standards. Okay, now one of the things that you can look at is what's your team's current culture. Perhaps you have inherited a team, perhaps you have a team of underperformers, but check what's the inner culture of your team. You see, is it, people would say, oh, it's not my job, or if it's not broken, don't fix it, or, well, it's not my problem, or we've always done it this way, so, let's not try and improve it. What's the culture? What's the norm? What's the point of reference to make each decision? That's one thing that you can really, really look at, because performance comes from culture. Performance comes from culture. The stronger a team culture, the better the results. If you put two teams competing with one another, one team being, let's say, not that talented, but not that talented, not superstar talented, okay, but have an amazing culture, amazing team culture. And on the other side, you put a team of extremely talented individuals with a negative culture. The team that has less talent will destroy the other ones, will destroy them, Okay, and that's very, very important. Culture eats hard work, eats, talent for breakfast. Culture eats talent for breakfast. Remember this. So one of the things that you can do is actually establish rules. Your team rules. You see, it's easy to say, that as a leader you want to change the culture, but you want to seriously do it, taking into consideration the alternative. The alternative is that you become a manager. You become a manager, which means that you're just going to go to people and say, so, how are you doing with this? So, what about this? Hey, have you done that? Hey, can you tell me where we are with this? That's called micromanaging. That's called being, suffocating your team. And that's called babysitting. I hate babysitting. I want to work with people that are like-minded individuals, that are adults, that I can count on, and that, basically don't need to be treated like this. You hate when you do it, when you do this. You hate it when you do this. You hate it when your managers did this or is doing this. So why are we doing it ourselves? We need to stop that behavior of, so where are we with this? Where are we with this? Look, if you have to ask, it means that there's something to change in your team's culture. And here come the rules. The first rule is to establish that I'm not responsible as a manager. I'm not responsible for a person's work. The person is responsible for his own work. It's very, very important. This means that if you're not achieving results, then, it just means that you're responsible, not your client, not your manager, not your company, not the market. You're responsible. You take responsibility. That's one of the values that you want to establish very, very early. You're responsible. Okay. Number two is it's your responsibility to let me as the manager know when you've met your KPIs, when you've met your key performance indicators, or when you've done your project, or when you finished this or that. It's your responsibility. It's part of your job. It's not just to do it, but to also say, hey, by the way, it's done. So that the rest of the organization, i.e. your manager, knows, and he can use this, count on this, communicate further to his manager, etc., etc. Part of your job is to tell me when it's done. You see when this happens, when people come to me and say, hey, by the way, Hamza, I've done this, this gives me an amazing opportunity to praise people. It gives you an amazing opportunity when someone comes and say, hey, Hamza, just so you know, I've done my KPIs today. I've spoken to 25 clients. It gives me an opportunity to say, wow, hey, this is the third day in a row. That's amazing. If you keep on doing this, something great is coming. Keep it up. Keep it up. Thanks for letting me know. What do you think this person is going to do? Keep telling me, because it feels good to tell me. You see, that's the culture. You establish the rules and then you reinforce them. You empower people with these rules. You realize that you no longer have to babysit people, asking them everything, because they will come to you. And the person that's not coming to you will realize that he's the only one not coming to you. If the rules are very clearly established, he will immediately notice that he needs to change without you intervening one-on-one. You're still on the prevention, on putting in place a culture, an environment of success, okay? Now, the third point is to also mention that it's also their responsibility to let you know if they're not doing well, if they're not going to hit their objectives, their targets, their KPIs on that day, on that week, if they are, experiencing delays. They should tell you. The worst thing that can happen is that you find out a week later because you've just wasted a week. You could have helped that person. You could have talked it out. You could have communicated or put someone else in the team to do it, but you didn't. So make people understand that not saying to you that they are experiencing a little bit of delay and, struggling with this objective or whatever, having a bad day, bad week, whatever, is actually worse if they don't say it. It impacts the rest of the team. Remember, we have established what working in team means, okay? So very, very important that when a team member comes to you and say, hey, I'm lagging a little bit behind, I'm not I'm not on top of things today, this week has been really crazy, I'm just a little bit late on my KPIs, just so you know, you do two things. Number one, it's actually a don't reprimand them. If you want this to keep happening, don't reprimand them. Don't tell them, what, you're late, oh no, what, because they won't come to you again. No one would come to you again. I mean, if what I have in exchange is a negative thing like this, I'm not crazy. Why would I do that? I'm trying to hide. And this is how you're going to destroy your team's culture. You'd rather know, okay? But once you know, thank them for letting you know. Tell them, remind them, that's what I expect from you, and thank you so much. Okay? Now, coach them. Tell them, what do you think we should do? Don't tell them what to do. Coach them. Allow them, help them to develop a mindset where they can solve their own problems. What do you think we should do? I don't know, that's why I came to you. Well, imagine if I wasn't here and you're in charge. What would you do? You have to come up with something. What would you do? Okay, yeah, not bad. You see, how about this? Have you thought about this? That's smart, actually, very good. So you see, this is how you use this opportunity to actually get someone to, perhaps, someone that's struggling, to actually develop a mindset to solve his own problems. That's powerful. Okay, and then send him to work and say, yeah, well done. You know what? I would do that if I was you. So the person might say, okay, well, the only thing I can do is to say a little bit late today to catch up on the work. Make sure you recognize that the following day. To say, hey, this and that person stayed late because they were super late on their KPIs. I want to say thank you on behalf of the rest of the team, because you've decided to work harder instead of impacting the team negatively. Thank you so much. It really means a lot to us. And please rest assured that the rest of the team will do exactly the same thing for you guys. Okay? So that's the kind of environment, culture that you want to establish. Oftentimes, people, it's not that they have a lot of underperformers. Sometimes it's just the company's culture that's not the right one. Not the company's culture, but the team's culture. Okay? Remember this, if you don't know the culture of your team, be sure that there is one. If you don't design the team's culture, be sure that it will be designed by the team members. Naturally, sometimes unconsciously, and sometimes it's not going to work to your advantage or to their advantage. Your job as a leader is to design the culture that you want in your team. To design the culture that you want in your team. Very, very important. Okay, now we're going to talk about step number 2. Step number 2, so step 1, you've established an environment where you are, it's really an anti-underperformer environment, right? So you really establish what you expect, the benchmark, the standard, the point of reference, the common definition. This is what everyone is expected to do, okay? Now you're gonna have some underperformance anyway. It's just part of your job, okay? Hopefully, the better you'll be at preventing, which is step 1, the less underperformance you're gonna have, okay? And that's a bliss. When you manage people that don't need to be managed, actually, when you're just leading them, that's powerful. Really is powerful. Okay, so let's talk about tackling underperformers, actually, or underperformance. Okay, what can I do to turn an underperformer around? Okay, very, very quickly. The first rule to observe is that you need to do 3 praises for 1 reprimand. Most managers, or a lot of managers, unfortunately, would not say much when it comes to praising employees when he or she is doing something great. But when he or she is doing something not great, or is lagging behind, or is not doing too well, They are so quick to reprimand. That's a mistake. You want to have a ratio. In order for your reprimand to be taken as a reprimand, as an opportunity for growth, you want to show that person, you want to prove to that person that actually he doesn't reprimand me all the time. He actually praises me a lot. So try and have a ratio. It could be 3-to-1, 5-to-1, it doesn't matter. But very, very important that the praise far exceed the reprimand. Otherwise, it doesn't give you the credibility. It makes people super defensive. Okay? Very, very important. The second rule is that you should reprimand the behavior, not the person. You should say to someone, look, I know that you're a hard worker. I know that you're super conscientious when it comes to your work. But what you did there was not good. What you did there was way below where, you know, the level that you got us used to. Was way below. That's below you. Honestly, that's not you. You see, I basically separate behavior and the person. I reprimand the behavior, not the person. Please keep this in mind. Very, very important. Now, I'm just going to give you a couple of scripts, okay? So it looks like you're struggling. So here's a script. It looks like you're struggling with your KPIs. Somehow, I feel responsible as your manager. I'm your manager and I feel responsible for this. I know that you are conscientious and you want to succeed. You're a hard worker. So I'm only assuming that there's probably something I haven't done or I haven't done well enough. Can you please help me? I need to understand what you would need in order to perform better. What would you need from me? Because I can probably help you. You see, the first approach is not to reprimand. Is to say you're responsible because that's what you've established. Everyone is responsible for his job. So me as a manager, I'm responsible for the results. You see, you're leading by example here. And that's really powerful. But on top of this, you're not pushing the person to be defensive. You're asking for his help, his or her help. It's really important, really important. So you're putting yourself in a situation of you've made the mistake if they didn't perform. Powerful, really powerful, okay? Now, this is how you find out if they need more training. Maybe they didn't understand something. Well, it's better to know this before you actually start reprimanding, right? If it's just a question of training or resources or just someone that's a bit confused with directions or anything, then at least you know. There's no point reprimanding, threatening or whatever if it's just something that could be fixed very easily. Okay, that's really, really important. Okay, now if you want to guess the age I am, that's my childhood there. Okay, that's one of the key movies in my childhood. So I took this example because this is how we put people into the future. Okay, we're just gonna put people into the future. We're gonna make them time travel, okay, and they're gonna come back to the present, hopefully with a different mindset. Okay, so in short, it looks like this. Hey, are you happy with your current results? That's the present. We're starting from this. The answer is no, I'm not. Now, you want to bring statistics, data, specifics to the table. You don't want to bring an opinion, because you're not going to have a conversation, okay? You're not going to have a productive conversation with just your opinion. You need to bring data, specifics, okay? So only 50% of your target this month, for example, is a specific, okay? That's not negotiable, okay? So are you happy with this? No. Okay, cool. If you pursue on this track, what do you think will happen? Now, I'm projecting the person into the future, If you pursue on this track, what do you think will happen? Well, you're not going to be happy. No, I'm not going to satisfy myself with this answer. You're going to push him to the worst negative consequence because that's just imaginary. It's okay. It's just imaginary. Okay. So you're going to say, hey, if you pursue on this track, what do you think will happen? He's going to say, oh, well, you're not going to be happy. Will you be happy? No. Okay. And if you carry on like this, what do you think is going to happen? Well, yeah, I mean, it's not going to be good. I mean, yeah, just not, yeah, it's not going to be good. Yeah, but what exactly do you think is going to happen? Let's say you do this again. Well, perhaps a warning. Yeah. And if you still pursue, what do you think will happen? Well, perhaps I'll get fired. And then back to the present. Would you want that? No, of course not. So, and then back to the future. So what do you think? So what do you need to change instead? What do you need to do instead? Sorry. What do you need to change? You know, what future do you want? So, do you want this? No. So what future do you want? Well, I want, I want to be successful. Yeah, but how does success look like? Bring him into the future and ask him to crystallize, to mention, to verbalize what success means, what a positive future means to him. Well, perhaps have a better salary, manage people. Great. So in order for you to do that, what do you need to do today, the present? Does it make sense? You see how we travel, we time travel? Okay. So what do you need to do instead? What do you need to change? How would you do that? Etc. etc. Notice here that I'm not telling them what to do or what to think. I'm actually just asking them questions. It's their answers. That's the best way for them to realize. That's the best way for them to completely stick with this. And it's very, very important that you use this kind of approach. Okay. Now, another script is, hey, on a scale of from 1 to 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you describe your level of commitment to the job? 8, 9. Okay. Then what I don't understand is that your results are only 50% of your target. So I think that there's a bit of disconnect here between what you think your commitment is to the result that you actually bring. You're saying that your commitment is 90%, but you're bringing 50%. So here comes the question. Here comes the question that a lot of managers don't want to ask. The question that a lot of managers don't want to ask is questions that could make the person leave. Now, it's very important that you ask the person to make a decision. Status quo is your enemy. Okay. So if the person doesn't know if he wants to leave or not, you will suffer, the team will suffer, and that's unfair. Your job is to get the person to decide. So let's rewind a little bit. Now, there's a disconnect between, what you think your commitment is, 90%, and what you're actually producing, 50% of your target. Can I ask you a question? I know that you're a serious person, you're a professional, you're a hard worker, but does this mean that this job is a little bit too much for you? Hard question. Because the other person is going to understand, hang on a minute, if I say yes, I'm fired. He's going to ask me to resign. If I say no, he's going to expect me to prove it, because he obviously showed me the disconnect. He said that it wasn't my attitude, it wasn't me. He trusts me because he said to me, I know you're a hard worker, I know you're a professional, I know you're conscientious. So the choice is here. You see, you ask someone to make a choice. Is the job too much for you? No, not at all. Not at all. It's just periods, but no, don't worry. It's gonna get better. I understand. It's fine. Look, don't worry. It's cool. Or, well, yeah, maybe I don't know. I've been thinking that perhaps this role is not necessarily the best fit for my career. Perfect. Then you saved yourself perhaps 2, 3, 4 months of, headache. You see, you push someone to make a decision. You'll be amazed at this approach. Absolutely amazed. Here's, that's just a different way to say it. Look, I know that you're serious about this job and you want to succeed, but since you're not getting the result, does it mean that this role is too much for you? Very simple question to ask, but powerful. Again, I'm not saying, hey, I don't think this job is for you. That's a decision. You want them to make a decision. Okay? And finally, I've been working with you for the last 3 weeks. So let's say, I've just been working with someone for the 3 weeks, training, helping, supporting, encouraging, and I don't see any improvements. This is where I'm just going to say, hey, I've been working with you for the last 3 weeks and I haven't seen any improvement. Look, I'm working with the team here. And as much as I'd like to help you, I won't be able unless you want to help yourself. Something tells me that you don't want to help yourself because there's absolutely no improvement whatsoever. Or there's very, very tiny improvement. I can't help you unless you want to help yourself. Okay? And this is really amazing. Now, before I share this with you, I've spoke to a friend of mine. He works at a large airline company, and he said to me, look, we have a lot of leadership and management training, and one of the management training, they said to him, okay, once you tackle the underperformer and you tell him, hey, you haven't done this, you haven't done this, you haven't done this, you need to do this, you need to do this, and then make sure you finish the one-on-one by, hey, what will I see tomorrow? What will I see starting from today? And I found this appalling, to treat people like kids. These people are adults. Please don't listen to the so-called trainers or gurus or whatever that tells you to ask this. If someone was to say, okay, what will I see tomorrow on the job? Once you start doing your job, what will I see? Look, I hate being taken as a child. I hate it. So instead, what you want to say is, can I or can the team count on you? Can I count on you? We need you. Can we count on you? That's a commitment. That's taking responsibility, because if someone says yes, then he's made a mental agreement, a moral agreement with me. And this is how it's just going to be amazing. Can I count on you? That's how you end a one-on-one conversation. Can the team count on you? We need to understand, if you're going to be pulling your weight in the rope, you know that everyone needs to pull his weight on this rope. If you're late, it impacts everyone. Can we count on you? Yes. Cool. Very, very important. Remember that your job is to make the team successful, not one person. If one person, regardless to how talented this person is, if one person is not successful and is perhaps a detriment to the rest of the team, even if he's a super talented person, he's got to go. He's got to go. The best way to let someone go is to ask him to make a decision. Usually people will go by themselves. You don't have to fire. Usually, most of the time, you don't have to. If you have to, you have to, because your job is to make the team successful. Please don't forget that. Don't be afraid to have those heart-to-heart, one-on-one conversation and ask people to make a choice. It's very, very important, okay? And that's pretty much it. Listen, I hope this has been helpful. I hope you're going to use this. If you liked it, please give it a thumb up. Give it a thumb up. That's the way I get paid these days. And that's great. I love it. Every time there's a thumb up, there's a notification and I see who did this, and it's great. If you super love it, leave a comment. Tell me why you liked it. Don't hesitate to share it. I really do this for people because, there's so much need in the workplace today from managers. There's a lot of underperformers, and I'm sure that you can be the best manager you've ever been. You can actually take it to the next level. Hopefully this course has been a stepping stone for you, has been a way for you to uncover other possibilities, other opportunities to grow. And if so, please let me know. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure as usual. And again, join my group on Facebook. It's called Name Your Career, for live sessions like these every single Sunday. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because the moment I put it on YouTube, you'll be notified. And until the next course, I will see you soon. Thank you. Bye for now. Bye-bye.